Okay, explaining cash flow and personal finances using a system of buckets, which was taught to me by my brother a long time ago. I can't remember the original source of the material that he shared it from, but it's explaining how money works, both in a personal sense and in a business sense. But it's explaining how it works and how it ties it all together. Because when most of us learn about money and hear about money, we hear the words cash flow and revenue and expenses and net and gross, and like you get overwhelmed with all of these terms. And really, what the bucket thing does is it simplifies everything into something that we can understand and that you can attack the root cause of why your money is leaving you and why you're broke every month, which is up here. It's the mindset. And so I'm going to break it down for you using this bucket. Right? Imagine your wealth building tool. Imagine your wealth as a bucket of water, just a big 5-gallon bucket full of water. And most of us grow up handling money the same way. And so when we leave home, we look and we say, right, how much money do we need to live the lifestyle that I want to live? And most of us, when we leave home, we want to pay our rent, so we can get a place. We want to pay some utilities. We want to get a phone. We've got a car. We've got some insurance, and we want a little budget for fun, right? And so let's say I'm talking to you now, and you're in your 20s, in your late 20s, and you've never planned this out. Okay, so you say to yourself, well, I've got to pay my rent, that's $1,500. I've got to pay my utilities, that's $200. My phone, my internet, my car, my insurance, my fund budget, everything else, and then you add it all up and it comes to, I don't know, $3,600 a month. Okay, so you need to make $3,600 a month to live the lifestyle that you imagine in your head. Because what you're imagining is the bare minimum to get by. This is what I need to make. This is what I have to make this month so I can pay my bills. I need to make $3,600 a month. That's the goal. Every fucking month you set out to make $3,600 so you can cover your bills. You never set out to make any more because you base your value in the marketplace on the value of the bills you wanted to cover to live the lifestyle that you needed to get out of the house. Right? So if we look at your bills as a bucket, every month when you make enough to cover your bills, every month the bucket's empty of water. And every month you're broke again. And you get to the end of the month and you're already at the end of the money. And sometimes you run out of the money before the next paycheck. It's because you're filling your bucket with the exact amount of water that it takes to empty it. That's it. The holes are as big as the income. So I want you to think of your income as a hose pipe and your expenses as holes. And as you make more income, when you think of it this way, in this old system, as you make more income, you increase your expenses. You say, oh, I'm making $5,000 a month now. So I can allocate more to fun, and I can allocate more to my car payment, and I can get a little bit bigger house. And all of a sudden your bucket is empty again. Because the first thing most of us do is we take that income and we look at it and we go, ooh, I have income X, I can buy item Y. And we make the holes in our bucket bigger and bigger and bigger. It's a human condition, right? It's not your fault. We're geared to want to spend money, to impress people, for social status, all that stuff. We're geared to when we get money, ooh, I can do this now. We're not geared to have the discipline with money. There's a wealth building level you've got to play. See, making money and generating wealth are two entirely different skill sets. Making money is an art form and generating wealth is a science. It's the difference between drawing a picture and baking a cake, right? Completely unrelated. If you want to draw a picture, you use one set of skills. If you want to bake a cake, you measure stuff accurately, you follow a recipe, you leave it for a certain amount of time, and at the end of it, every time you get a cake. Like, it's a science. And so the only way you can get more money into your bucket is to get a raise. Make that hose bigger. Then you spend more money. Bigger bills, bigger car, eating out. End of the month comes around, the fucking bucket's empty again. You're like, well, hold on a minute. I'm making more money than I've ever made. I'm working more hours than I've ever made. What's going on here? Because every time you reach a certain milestone, a little switch flicks and you go, ooh, I can afford that now. And you spend all the money you have trying to keep up with the lifestyle that you want. What you're doing wrong and what needs to change is how you distribute the money that you're able to earn. So let's take a look. How can we combat this empty bucket at the end of every month? Because there's only so many variables, right? We can either make the hole smaller. All right, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Make the hole smaller, fewer bills, fewer expenses, less water dripping out my bucket every month. I could make my hose pipe bigger. Yeah, that's a good idea. Get a little more cash flow, water coming in the bucket. I have to be very careful not to make my holes bigger though. Or I could get a bucket with no holes in it, which sounds kind of impossible, but it's not. And here's what we do. Number one rule more than anything is pay yourself first. There's a very, very important line in the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, which was derived from translations from 5,000-year-old tablets from the city of Babylon telling the rules of gold. And the most important law of money is to pay yourself first. And the quote reads, "Start thy purse to fattening. A part of all you earn is yours to keep." Huh. The only way to get a fat purse is to keep a part of all you earn. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to take the same income stream that you've got. I don't care what it is. You're going to take your income and clip 10% of it right off the top. You're going to take that income and put it straight in a second bucket, and it's a bucket with no holes in it. And you may say, well, I don't have 10% to give. I can't do 10%. 10% is too much. I'm not making it as it is. I don't care. Like, the number one rule of building wealth is that a part of all you earn is yours to keep, and it must be yours to keep. Because if you don't, then it's going to pass straight through the bucket, straight through the holes in the bottom, into all the other wants and desires that you're trying to satisfy as a human. And the funny thing happens when you divert income. You make it up. You make up the shortfall. Like 100% becomes 90% all of a sudden. So for every dollar you have, now you have 90 cents, which means that you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to spend less money overall, reduce your lifestyle, eat out less, find a way to live off cheaper food. Like whatever it is, you'll adapt to that 10% loss in income. Or you make extra money. You go get a raise, you add a little side hustle, whatever it is that you want to do, you make extra money to stay at the standard of income you're at. And what happened, it's like magic. You don't notice the 10% because you've been raised to look at your bank account and go, okay, I've got this much money, I can buy this much stuff. So when you look at your first bucket and you see the water in it, you don't see the savings bucket. That's tucked off to the side. You're just looking at the bucket with the holes in. And it's got 90% of the water that it had in it. And the water's all running out anyway, and it's empty at the end of every month anyway. So what's the 10% matter? It doesn't matter. It forces you to spend less. And it also triggers most people to make more because they want the standard of living. And so they just go get more money. Money's it's something you just haven't gone and got. Like it's all out there. You just got to say, I need this much this month. And then you do the things that equate to you getting that much. And when the people that really get it do all three things, you start a holeless bucket off to the side, your second bucket. Okay. And for every dollar you make, you put 10% into that bucket and you'll never miss it. But all of a sudden, you'll have a $200,000 year and you'll turn around. Now you're sitting on a $20,000 savings fund. Whereas before you have a $200,000 a year and you've got 20 grand's worth of expenses every month because that's just how it is. But you can clip $2,000 a month somewhere on a $20,000 budget, right? Never see it, never notice it. So you want to get a holeless bucket. A portion of all you earn is yours to keep. You have to start doing that. 10% of everything, like from right now. Like take it, set it aside, put it somewhere safe where you're not going to fuck with it. You're not going to touch it. That is your savings bucket. That's your investing bucket. That's the bucket that eventually is going to pour so much money onto you, you won't be worried about the first bucket with the holes in it anymore. But that savings and investing bucket can never grow as long as you've said, oh, I need $3,600 a month to pay my bills. So I'm just going to make $3,600 a month this month. I'm going to pay all my bills and then my bucket's empty. Why don't I have any money? It's because you can live a $3,600 lifestyle on $3,200 and put $400 in savings and never miss it. And that's what we're missing here. It doesn't matter the level of income you've got. It doesn't matter if you're an 18-year-old kid listening to this that's making minimum wage. Save 10% of that minimum wage, and the quicker you save it, the quicker it can start working for you. That money doesn't sit there. After you've got an emergency fund lined out with a couple of months worth of expenses, like that money goes to work. That money goes in savings, it goes in investments, it goes in real estate, it goes in assets that will build you wealth. Right? It doesn't just sit in a bank account just chilling. You have some of it there chilling just in case, but the majority of your wealth should be out working for you. Those buckets, right? You can have 2, 3, 10 savings buckets, as many of them as you want. It's all about how you divert the cash flow coming in and making sure that you clip 10% of it, 10% of your paycheck straight into savings. Do not fuck with that. That's like the biggest rule I can give you, right? Then you got to make your holes smaller. So in your cash flow bucket, the bucket that the majority, that 90% of your income is going into, we have to make the holes smaller. Like, we are in wealth building mode right now. We are in sort your fucking life out mode right now. We're not in let's drive nice expensive cars and go for expensive dinners and everything else. We're in like, this is hard. I'm struggling. I need to get my shit together. Right. What are the first steps to getting my shit together? Smaller holes in the fucking bucket. Smaller holes. Like, period. Cook your own food. Like, that's a huge one. The amount of money we spend on eating out. Like, cook your own food. It's healthier. It's better for you. Plan your grocery shops. Like, there's ways to do this to where you can make the holes in your budget smaller. One of the biggest ones for me was vehicles. You know, like when I started this, when I sat down, I said, right, sort your fucking shit out, right? You know what to do. And when I started being my own coaching client and really putting like my fucking career and my wealth and my investments right at the front and started paying attention to them and doing what I was supposed to do, like there was no way I could justify having a brand new truck. And looking back, you know, I'd had new-ish, within 2 to 3 years old, vehicles since 2006. And thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a year on car payments. And I didn't realize. But, you know, when I was 27, I think I had car payments around $2,000 a month. At 27, 3 vehicles. And, you know, you got to think, is that really necessary? Now, I had savings and I had investments. I had all kinds of stuff. Right? But still, $2,000 a month on car payments? That's a lot. And so you start looking now, and the average car payment's $700 a month. Like, I had a nice 2021 Dodge Ram, the 4-wheel drive. It was a nice truck. And looking down between the payment, the insurance, and the fuel, I was spending about $1,800 a month on just getting around, just doing the school run. Like, what the fuck? So look at your budget and say, how big are my holes? Because we're trying to build wealth here, right? We're trying to unfuck what's already been fucked up. We're trying to straighten your life out and get you on the path to like your ideal dream life. And your ideal dream life is going to be funded by buying, appreciating, cash flowing assets that pay you for the rest of your life. That's how we're going to do it. But you can't get to that point unless you stop spending money and sort out the front bit and take care of the cash flow, take care of the buckets, take care of the savings. It has to happen. And so for me, I went out and I dipped into my savings account and I paid $4,000 for a 20-year-old Toyota. And I've got a set of tools and I've got YouTube, and I've put 30,000 miles on that truck and done probably $200 worth of work, some tires and some oil changes to it. Like, if that's not the smartest thing financially I did, I've had it nearly a year now. So a year at $1,700 a month, that's a significant amount of money. We're talking about saved probably close to 15 grand by the time we get, I still got to pay for insurance and stuff. I'll probably save close to 15 grand just by getting rid of a brand new truck and driving a 20-year-old one. There's nothing wrong with a 20-year-old one. It was owned by a little old lady. It had 200,000 miles on it and it runs like a top. It's great. But what I did was take the responsible decision, say, you know what? It doesn't matter what the fuck I look like. It doesn't matter if I keep up with the Joneses. It doesn't matter what's parked in the neighbor's driveway. What matters is what's in my wealth account. What matters is what I've got behind the scenes. What matters is what I'm building that's going to allow me to live my ideal life. So boom, the truck was fucking gone. Like, get rid of it. It's like an anchor around your neck. You're taking 12, 15, some of you are taking 20 grand a year out of your potential wealth building budgets just so you can ride around in a nice fucking truck. I know it because I've done the same. I know it because I've made that mistake. And I'm able to teach you this because I'm on the other side of it. And life is so much better. And when the time comes, you know what? I might finance a new BMW. But that's not important. What's important to me right now is stacking money and stacking assets so I can get to the long-term residual income and the long-term wealth building. And I'll just drive a 20-year-old truck until that's the case. And you've got to start thinking of it like that. So how can I make the holes in my bucket smaller? All right? You've got to get a holeless bucket. You've got to have that savings account, 10% in there. You've got to make the holes smaller. Got to stop spending as much money. Like, I doubt there's any single one of you that's on this course that cannot afford to fucking just clip a little bit in the budget. If I told you, like, you got to find $1,000 by the end of next week, otherwise something bad's going to happen to your mom, like, you'd have $1,000, you figure it out. We're in this kind of situation. You've got to act. Like, you've got to take action to get where you want to go. Otherwise, you're just going to keep being broke at the end of every month. So it works in that order. Holeless bucket, take your original bucket and make the holes smaller, and then, and only then when you've done those two things, focus on making the hose bigger. So it only works in that order, right? If you make the hose bigger and don't fuck with the holes, you're still going to be losing money at the same rate, and you'll have a natural propensity to, oh, well, I'll just get this, and I'll just get that, I'll just get the other. And all of a sudden, your bucket's empty, no matter how much money you make. That's just human nature. Like, we are geared to spend our money like on shit we don't need to impress people we don't know. We just want status as animals. That's how we're wired. And so you will always spend whatever money is in your bucket. So it's very important before you get a bigger hose. You must immediately start a bucket with no holes in, off to the side. That bucket sits over there. That's your saving, investing bucket. Protect that bucket. Don't ever touch it. Right? Secondly, make the holes smaller. Thirdly, we'll make the hose bigger. And he asked me, how do I get a bigger hose? Well, several ways. New qualifications is probably my main way to get a bigger hose. The way you get more money is to provide more value to the world around you. And so you have to say, what is it that I like to do? Remember, back to the I am statement, right? Back to the ideal you, the ideal career. What is it that you like to do? And how do I get from where I'm at now to where I want to be? So you got new qualifications. It took me 8 months to get a postgrad in artificial intelligence. So anyone can do it. You just got to sit down, roll up your sleeves, and do the work. The second thing you can do is a side hustle. Like, a lot of you guys are capable. Like, you're smarter than the average bear. You're just a little bit stuck. Well, what kind of side hustles can you do for a little extra cash? One of the things I've done in the past very successfully is fixing stuff. Believe it or not, people will pay you to fix stuff for them. And all you got to do is go on YouTube and look up how to do it. Now, I'm not suggesting if you've no construction experience, you go around, fixing rotted wood or painting houses or whatever. But for those of us with a little bit of blue collar experience, like, you don't got to be afraid to lean on that. Like, look at what you can do out of hours. Okay, so let's say you're stuck in a job, right? And your job is 9 to 5. That means after you get all your stuff done, right? You can get your morning routine done in the mornings, get everything done before work, and then after work, after you eat, take time with the kids. You've got from 7 to 8 to 9 o'clock at night every night, minus Wednesday, which should be date night. But you've got those 2 or 3 hours, 3 or 4 nights a week, that if you really want it, you can then go and get certified. You can go and learn something. You can do a real estate license. You can do an insurance license. You can do like there's so many different courses you can study. Anything. Go to udemy.com and you just pick them out. Like you can get qualifications and stuff to raise your value in the real world and then focus on solving problems like for people with resources. But if you don't demand more income, if you don't say, well, damn it, I'm worth $10,000 a month and I'm happy now I'm making $10,000 a month, you'll never do the things that you need to do in order to make $10,000 a month. You'll stay at $3,600 a month because that's all you need to cover your bills. You get whatever you ask for. You get whatever you focus on. You get whatever you work on becoming. So that's why my I am statement says I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm making $250,000 per month from multiple income sources doing the things I love to do as a consultant. That's why it fucking says that. Because even though right now, as of February in 2024, I am not making $250,000 a month, if I keep aiming at that target and I keep working towards that target, eventually I'll get there. But what will happen is I won't get to $250,000 a month off the bat. I'll go from 20 to 30 to 50 to 80 to 100. Wow, it's working because I'm aiming for 250. So if I'm aiming for 250 and I'm making 100 grand a month within the next 6 months, I say I'm doing pretty good. Set the target high enough to where it's worth going out to achieve. You've got to go to battle anyway. So set the target high enough to where it's worth going and having a fucking battle for. Because otherwise you'll just fill your bucket with $3,600 every fucking month. And your bucket will be empty at the end of every month. And then you'll get old and you'll die. And you'll be sitting there at 70 years old going, why is my bucket empty? Why don't I have no money? And it was all because you never asked for any money. All you asked for was the money to pay your bills. So that's all you ever went and got. Okay, so you've got to make a bigger hose. And it starts with valuing yourself, valuing your time, asking for what you want, and solving problems for people that have the resources to pay for your expertise. You show up on time when you say. You provide reliable, valuable information, whatever it is. Be a person of value to people. That cash flow will increase. And then always remember, divert your cash flow before it hits the main bucket. Take it, put 10% into a safe bucket with no holes in. Take another 10% and give it to charity. Like, pass it around, have some impact. Give it to people that need it. Build a better community, whatever it is. You know, that was often considered the tithe to the church. But give to charity. I like charity. And the strange thing is, you know, the more often I give to charity, the more money the universe rains down on me. Karma's real. Everybody's big to say karma's a bitch, but they also forget that she is a wonderful, wonderful mistress. And she will treat you right if you treat her right. Do unto others. But you've got to divert that money into the holeless bucket before it ends up in your main bucket. You must remember, a portion of all you earn is yours to keep. Right, I hope that made sense, and I hope that is going to knock it into some of you that you have to start a savings bucket, no matter how small. I'll see you in the next lesson.